Hey there, I'm Dr. Jolene Brighten, and we are going to be rolling through Chapter 1 of Beyond the Pill. So, Chapter 1, we're talking about Beyond the Pill. I wanted to kick this off by just hitting on the points in the chapter. So, at the beginning of every chapter in the book, you're going to see this little breakdown of what is in this chapter. I'm messing up the cover right now. So, in this chapter, we've got the down and dirty facts about the pill, why the pill won't fix your period. Pretty sure that's the most controversial thing in the whole book. Maybe you can let me know. Why post birth control syndrome might be your worst nightmare, how the 30-day Brighten program can reset your hormones, and what your hormones are telling you. So, we are going to be going through Beyond the Pill chapter by chapter. So every day I'm going to jump on live. I'm going to do a chapter review with you, answer your questions about that chapter. And there's going to be posts all over Instagram and Facebook to really help support you as you move through Beyond the Pill. So basically, we've got a virtual book club going. So if you're just jumping on, say hello. I've got YouTube right in front of me, and I've got Instagram to the side. Good morning, everybody. We are going into Chapter 1 of Beyond the Pill, which is real talk about the pill. And the number one question that has been coming through, so I asked you guys on Instagram, what were your big questions? And the number one was, is everything you talk about in this book just about the pill? Well, the short answer is no. Let's break that down a little bit. So in Beyond the Pill, it's called Beyond the Pill to give you root cause solutions beyond hormonal birth control to correct your hormones. And we're going to talk about why the pill won't fix your hormones, neither will any other form of hormonal birth control. Now, I talk mostly about the pill because the pill was the very first hormonal contraceptive to ever step onto the scene. It was developed in the 1950s, released publicly in the 1960s, and a little fact, you had to be married to be able to get access to hormonal birth control. That's right. The government actually wouldn't let women have access to birth control unless they were married. And so it was a long fight for women to get access to hormonal birth control. Absolutely has been instrumental in moving women forward. We are now CEOs of companies, and all kinds of amazing things have come out of that, like graduating college at a higher rate, which is what I talk about in the first chapter. We're not anti-birth control in this book. It's all about what is best for women. And, it wasn't until the 1970s, so almost 2 decades later, that women rallied together to question, was this pill that was introduced into the market the best thing for women's health? And that's because a lot of women were dying at that high dose of medication. And so this is why part of the book is dedicated to the women who went before us, who could show us there was a better way. And thank goodness, because that high dose of estrogen and synthetic progesterone was really detrimental to women's health. Women died in the trials, bringing birth control to, what it is today. So we can be grateful for them. I see Aisling is saying she just purchased Beyond the Pill on Audible. That is awesome. So here's the deal. Now, in this chapter, we go through, and if you have it, the pill, the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's what I talk about is the good stuff. Like the fact that I did it for 10 years and could be a first-generation college student. That's pretty awesome. There's a lot of good stuff. Like, we could take a pill and make our symptoms go away. That's pretty awesome option to have. But we also talk about how hormonal birth control cannot fix your period or fix your hormones. Now, when, to go back to my original point, is this book just about the pill? This is, most research we have is about the pill. But when we start talking about synthetic progestin, that's your depot shot. That's your IUD. The synthetic hormones that are in the pill, they're also in other forms of hormonal birth control. So no, while we have most of the research on the pill, this book isn't just about the pill. And in fact, this book is about your hormones. And it's the very first book to actually cover women's hormonal health and include a very, very important topic about women's health, and that is hormonal birth control. So we talked a little bit about the good. Now, the bad news is that the pill, the patch, the ring, the IUD, the depot shot, the implant, anything they come up with as hormonal birth control cannot fix your period, cannot fix your acne, cannot fix your hormone imbalance of any kind. And the reason is because Hormonal birth control, the way it works is to stop your reproductive system from functioning, which is great if you don't want to have a baby and we can suppress ovulation, but not so great if what is going on is that you have mood swings because of your hormones, or you are experiencing PMS or painful periods or heavy periods, and you're being told that the pill is the only option, or the patch, or the reading, or really any of these hormones. It's not. And it cannot. And this is something a lot of doctors still get wrong, even now as we talk in 2019, is doctors will say, oh, your period is irregular. Let me give you the pill, and now you'll have a regular period. We fixed your period. You didn't fix it, because now you're not even having a period. Now you're having a medication-induced withdrawal bleed that is basically you stop and you go into the placebo week of the pill pack, and now you have a withdrawal bleed. That's not fixing your period. And I'd like to talk about, like, when we think about like gut symptoms, you have gut symptoms. Would a doctor say, okay, here's a medication. Now the tube doesn't move. So you don't eat food anymore. We feed you through your vein. You don't even poop. Like, nothing's working. Would your doctor say you fixed it? No. Likely not, but women's reproductive systems are like this expendable system of the body through that perspective and through that lens, through that idea that like shutting down your reproductive system fixes your hormones in some way. Your hormones are designed to give you superpowers, which I help you access in this book. Your hormones are also only betraying you in that sense when something is seriously off in your body. And that's what I want to aim to do in this book, is put the medicine in your hands so that you can investigate the root cause for yourself and understand, why do I have these hormonal symptoms? Now, in chapter 1 of the book, The Risky Business of the Pill. This is where we talk about some big issues that most doctors don't tell us about before they prescribe the pill. I certainly wasn't told about a lot of this the whole 10 years. I've spent on the pill. Dragon Fruit 9999 just ordered Beyond the Pill. That is awesome. So if you're just joining, every day I'm going to go through a chapter of Beyond the Pill. There will be posts on Instagram and Facebook. I will be live on, well, we have hormonal confusion. So as you come off of the pill, you can have issues with missing or irregular periods, light or heavy periods, infertility, headaches. While you're on it, hormonal birth control induces leaky gut, gut dysbiosis, inflammatory bowel disease. We can have fatigue, adrenal dysfunction, thyroid dysfunction. Women start the pill and sometimes their skin gets worse. So now they have dry skin, they have hair loss, they have acne. We certainly see a correlation between depression and anxiety when women start hormonal birth control. I've got a whole chapter on that we'll be going into. The lady part disturbance, the sneaky way that hormonal birth control really prevents pregnancy, crashing your libido. Hell no, that's no good, right? Vaginal dryness, chronic infections, so like yeast infections, pain with sex, pain with orgasms. Then there's the fact that the pill depletes nutrients like vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. We'll spend more time on that for sure. It increases your risk of diabetes, stroke, heart attack, cancer. It sabotages thyroid health. It intensifies the risk of stroke, heart attack, and diabetes in women who have pre-existing conditions like polycystic ovarian syndrome, something very common that they prescribe the pill for, or any form of hormonal birth control. Which leads us into this section on, why are you really taking hormonal birth control? Because the reality is that over 50%, if not almost 60 or higher, some estimates have said 65% of women use hormonal birth control primarily for symptom management and not necessarily for preventing baby. And yes, dragon fruit, these same symptoms are if you have the implant, you can have these same symptoms. So I've seen women in my practice who get the implant, they end up experiencing anxiety or depression, or they start feeling their libido decline months later after having that implant placed. So some of the top reasons why women use hormonal birth control are menstrual irregularities, or not knowing when your period's going to show up. Let me know if that's true for you. Did you start hormonal birth control for symptoms, or did you start hormonal birth control primarily for contraceptive reasons? I would love to know. I see I bought the book, read the first chapter, and love it so far. Awesome. For It's Courtney, we will cover the copper IUD when we get to chapter 13 of Beyond the Pill. So that's going to be on day 13 of Beyond the Pill, a book tour. And you started it for, so I see you started for severe cystic acne. You started for symptoms. I'm seeing lots of people had the worst cramps, irregular periods, fibroids. Yes, to stop my bleeding because of endometriosis, super common reason women use hormonal birth control. So do I prescribe hormonal birth control at my practice? There is a time and a place to use hormonal birth control. So if somebody has like severe dysmenorrhea, so that can be really, really painful periods. So I see missing periods those are big ones as well. So so I will prescribe the pill sometimes if we have extremely heavy or extremely painful periods and we need to work on the root cause, but get ahead of it. There are women who are so anemic from how heavy their periods are, and then anemia only makes their periods even heavier. And sometimes we have to shut that down so that we can actually get their iron stores up and get ahead of things. But if I ever use hormonal birth control in women for symptoms, we acknowledge it's for symptoms and we have a game plan of when they're coming off of it and how they're coming off of it. It's a very rare thing that I do because most of the women who come to me, they don't want to use hormonal birth control. You started hormonal birth control for pelvic pain, which was 10 years later, turned out to be caused by endometriosis. Thank you for bringing that up. So this is really important. This is where prescribing birth control can be a disservice. When you give women hormonal birth control for symptom management without asking why she has those symptoms, you do her a disservice because like for you had endometriosis. So I talk about that and we get into that in chapter 1. So like 14% of women using hormonal birth control for acne. Well, what if that acne is due to PCOS? She's having irregular periods and acne. She really has polycystic ovarian syndrome, but you just put her on the pill. Now she doesn't have acne and her periods are more predictable. Periods. Those are really withdrawal bleeds from a medication. Now your doctor acts like, oh, I fixed the problem. Except the root cause of PCOS is a metabolic disorder, inflammation, and insulin dysregulation, which birth control only makes worse. And there's no discussion about what's happening in her body. I see Madeline, I started birth control for symptom management after being on it for 10 years. It took my body a solid 6 months before my period came back after coming off the pill, and with a vengeance. Oh, I feel that, Madeline. And I actually talk about that. So we talk about briefly what is post-birth control syndrome. There's a whole chapter about that. But then I share my pill story. Did you guys read my pill story? It was a hard thing for me to include here because it's pretty vulnerable. But I had the same problem where I lost my period. And then when it finally came back, my hormones were way out of control. Brew, I see you say, I love the book, was giving it, you were given the pill because of hair loss and PCOS. And Amanda had no period from 13 to 30. That's a long time, girl. So I talk about my pill story in Beyond the Pill. I take you through, because I've been there myself. Wow, I just knocked my desk. So I've been there myself. I work with a lot of patients to help them with their hormones. And, it's something that I struggled a long time with hormone imbalance as well. So I take you right into chapter 1, the Brighten protocol. We go right into, what the 30-day program is going to look like. And here's what you're going to learn in the book. What you need to know about being on hormonal birth control and how to support your body, because it's your choice and it's your right to use hormonal birth control for preventing babies or for symptom management. And I want to guide you in how to take care of your body, what your doctors should be testing, and when to get lab testing when things get scary. And I see Risa saying, thank you for sharing your story with us. You're welcome. And I think that it's something that we all need to share our stories more in women's medicine, because so many of us, we've been through the ringer and we think we're alone. We think we're the only ones. And that is something this weekend, you guys sent me a lot of messages via Instagram saying one of the biggest things by far that women walked away, women who had read Beyond the Pill, their biggest ahas was, I'm not alone. It's not in my head. And I finally know how to care for my body, but I finally feel confident enough that I can balance and optimize my hormones. That is awesome. That is why I poured everything into writing this book. So I love how I can keep going back to the book and adapt my answers as my body is also adapting and changing. It's so helpful knowing how to interpret the signs and symptoms. That's awesome. I love hearing that. So in chapter 1, I also talk you through, we're going to talk about in the book how to eliminate post-birth control syndrome, getting rid of hormonal headaches and acne, painful periods, hair loss, depression, anxiety, and more. What every woman's got to know before she gets pregnant. We'll be going through that chapter, the libido and the fertility chapter, and I'll be explaining to you why libido and fertility chapter go hand in hand. Supportive therapies to naturally detoxify through the liver, the major systems that your body, in the body that the pill and other hormonal contraceptives affect. We're going to talk about what to eat to balance your hormones, heal your gut, and reverse autoimmune disease. So yes, we talk all about autoimmunity and beyond the pill as well. We'll get into the supplements you should consider for hormone balance if you're coming off the pill, and supplements that can really help you maintain excellent hormones. Do I give recommendations for other supplements in the book? Haven't gotten that far yet. I'm overseas and can't order yours. Yes. So you will see that in the book, when I talk about supplements, I give other brands as well, so that you can get access to what you need. I certainly understand that can be a bit of a challenge. So when we'll be talking about that as we go through our virtual book club, and talking through the chapters of Beyond the Pill. The biggest thing for me, when reading your awesome book, is that we've been fobbed off and there is hope for us. I don't know what fobbed off means, Sandra, but because you might be in another country and that might be slang I don't understand. But yeah, there is totally hope to heal your hormones naturally. We're going to talk about how to say bye-bye to PMS, excessive weight, and hello to your libido. I'm going to give you tools to reset your circadian rhythm, reduce stress, and sleep soundly. And there's fertility boosting strategies to help you optimize conception. We will also talk about healthy ways to reduce your risk. You may have heard that the pill is the best thing to reduce your risk of ovarian cancer. Hormonal birth control is one way we can reduce ovarian cancer, but there are other things that we should consider as well. Erica's saying, loved your book. Thank you, Dr. Brighten. Question, should we follow the liver, gut, and hormone-specific protocols at the same time? Typically, yes. So you will follow, and we'll be getting into, in future conversation coming in the next week, we will talk specifically about the liver, the gut, and the hormone protocols. Typically, so when you're following the diet and the program, you're going to be doing lifestyle and dietary practices that help the liver, gut, and your hormones. And then you'll want to get targeted in based on what you need from the quizzes in terms of supplements, if you choose to go that route. So in chapter 1, I take you through how to use the book. So it's a good thing to catch there. And I list all of the protocols that I'm going to present to you. So in Beyond the Pill, there is a detox protocol, a gut repair protocol, thyroid and adrenal health protocol, metabolic protocol, mood mastery protocol, libido boosting protocol, and then there is the comprehensive supplement protocol as well. In the reintroduction pages, do we take the first food back out and test the next one? So we'll be talking more detail about that in future chats. But when you go into the reintroduction, if you have symptoms, you take that food out. You kick it out once the symptoms resolve, then you bring in the next food when you're testing it. So we talk about the hormone health journey, and then we get into the hormone quiz. So if you haven't seen this yet, Beyond the Pill has a comprehensive hormone quiz for you to understand estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, and thyroid. So you can really dial in what your hormone imbalance is. And as we go through this quiz, you want to check the top 5 to 10 symptoms that would drive you to a doctor. So what would you go to your doctor and ask to have resolved? Those are the symptoms that you want to select and that you want to plug into the quiz. It's several pages here. And the hormone quiz, there's going to be an answer key, but when you get to, okay, category A, category B, like what is going on, it directs you immediately. See this page, go to this chapter, and that will help you. And I say things like, okay, so For example, if it is too little estrogen, you're going to see page 238 in chapter 12. But if it's something like too much cortisol, then you got to go read chapter 7, and you'll also want to see page 244 in chapter 12. And what this does is that as soon as you take the quiz, so with Beyond the Pill, you can read it from front to back if you would like. But it's also designed, so I designed it 2 ways. You can read it front to back, or you can do the quiz and jump right into what do I need to know? What do I need to do right now? So you can fast track your healing and start feeling better sooner than later. So that's my talking through chapter 1. When you get to the end of the chapters in Beyond the Pill, chapter 1 is the only one that doesn't have the summary that the other chapters do. So I'm like flipping through trying to get to like a little example of that. But the reason is because you're going right into the quiz, and your key takeaway is what your quiz results are. Otherwise, the other chapters have key takeaways. Why I did that is because maybe you don't want to read the whole chapter. So at the beginning, you can read, this is what you'll find in the chapter, and at the end, you can jump to the end of the chapter and see what the key takeaways are. Women have told me they've learned a whole lot just from doing that, and then they can decide if they want to dedicate the time to reading that chapter. So you see Tracy is asking, I'm in perimenopause, bad. My hormones are so crazy. My doctor actually wanted me to put me on the pill for perimenopause. I definitely don't want to do that at my age. Sounds like this book can help me too. Definitely, Tracy. So if you're a woman in perimenopause, know that although your ovaries are going to stop producing estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone to the degree that they were before, you still need to nourish your thyroid and your adrenal glands. And I make a really good case on why you should never use the pill or any form of hormonal birth control for symptom management in perimenopause. It's a very short-sighted approach. In fact, hormonal birth control, it can make a lot of symptoms of perimenopause a whole lot worse. So definitely check out Beyond the Pill, Tracy. I would highly recommend that. And then you'll want to check out the Metabolic Mayhem, so Reversing Metabolic Mayhem chapter. That makes it really clear why we don't want to use hormonal birth control in women for perimenopause. I've got Instagram and YouTube firing off. Let's talk about chapter 1. What are your questions from chapter 1 in the book? It's the high level overview of where we're going, but it's also where we get into the hormone quiz. Sandra, for everybody who doesn't know what fobbed off means, meaning getting someone to accept something of little or no value. This is how it's been with my doctor for years. Thank you for the info you share. It gives me power to question. Yes, and that's exactly what I do in the book as well, is I help you get educated and know your body so well that nobody can gaslight you. So what is gaslighting? In the United States, that term means that basically you go in and you're like, this is what happened in my body. And then your doctor's like, you're misremembering. That's not actually what happened in your body. You're totally wrong about that. That's impossible. And you walk away from the visit being like, maybe I am crazy. Maybe I did make it up. Beyond the Pill will help you build your user manual to your body. When you check those symptoms, you know you have those symptoms. When you retest foods, you go through the protocol, you document how you feel, and you run your own experiment. You might have somebody who's like, gluten-free, that doesn't do anything for anybody. That's just a trend, and you're dumb for following that trend. People say these things. I don't know why they do, why they have any business commenting on someone else's choices that don't affect them in any way, but they do it. And it's easy for us sometimes to be like, maybe I am just buying into a trend. Maybe I respect this person. Maybe they're right. But if you test it and you go back to it's basically a lab manual for your body, and you go back and you say, nope, I cut out gluten. I felt amazing. And I brought it back in, and I was fatigued. My skin started breaking out again. Now you know. So it doesn't matter what anyone else says to you, because now you wrote it down and you have your data. This is one of the most effective ways to not second guess yourself and to advocate for yourself. But in addition to that, with Beyond the Pill, I'm teaching you what your doctor should be investigating. So if you do have, say you have really heavy periods, iron deficiency anemia, fibroids, we should investigate, is it hypothyroidism? What lab testing to ask your doctor for? And as we go through the chapters, so if you're just joining me, we're doing a little virtual book club, you guys, for Beyond the Pill. Today, we're moving through chapter 1. Tomorrow, I'm going to move you through chapter 2. When we get to chapter 4, that's one of my favorite chapters, the Take Back Your Period, because that's all in on like everything that we've ever been told is normal for women. It's not. It's common, but it's not normal. And we're going to get into how to fix that and how to understand your body. And I just gifted this book to a 13-year-old this last week. And it's something that when I gave it to her dad, I was like, I don't know how she'll receive it from you, but when I was 13, I really wish I had this book. I really wish I knew how my period worked. I really wish I knew that like those cramps that I thought were my body hating me and that made being a woman so awful, they were actually a sign that I probably needed more omega-3s. I needed to poop regularly and bump my magnesium levels. And like, I wish somebody would have told me that. But instead, I got on the pill. I suppressed my body. As you read in Beyond the Pill, I had a lot of issues while being on the pill. My doctor didn't question it. I didn't question it. I feel grateful not to have heavy periods that, made me miss school and were super painful. But at the same time, I traded it for no libido, for chronic vaginal yeast infections. We're talking about chapter 1. I became allergic to Monistat, and it sucked. Like, it sucked to go through all of that and to keep getting hit with, you're a woman. This is just the way it goes. But it's not true. And in fact, what I guide you to in Beyond the Pill, we will help you build better hormones so that your hormones give you superpowers so that you feel incredible in your body. Your brain will work better. You'll have less brain fog. Your performance will be better at work. You'll have a lot more clarity. You'll mother better. You'll be way more into sex, and because we're going to help you get your libido back, and you're not going to dread your period, and you're not going to, feel like, oh, my mood swings are just my body's way of owning me. No, like there's a reason. Hi, I have endometriosis, but I don't speak English. I would like to read your book. Well, Lena, that was very great sentence structure because I don't speak other languages and I just butcher it anytime I try to talk to somebody else. I always am like messing it up. And I say that because I just finished living in Paris for 3 months and everybody laughed at me like really hard when I tried to speak French to them. But whatever, I tried because like there's all these things that have to happen and fall into place. But Beyond the Pill is being translated into 3 languages. We just have to solidify everything before I can share. I don't want to promise something and then have like a publisher overseas back out. And then you guys are like, what happened? Because there's so much when you write a book. I control what is in the book, but some of it had to be cut out and I couldn't control that. And I can't control like where it ends up getting translated and all of that. Otherwise, I would love to. So Amanda says, is it going to be hard to do this since I don't have a period? Partial hysterectomy, still have ovaries. Not necessarily, Amanda. So when you get into the hormone quiz, you won't be evaluating any of your period symptoms, but you'll still be able to evaluate other symptoms. So if you have ovaries and you're not menstruating, when you get into the seed cycling and a lot of the cycling protocols, you'll follow the moon cycle. We'll be talking more as we get deeper into Beyond the Pill. So I see that there's a question about the hormone quiz. You scored troublemaker in 4 categories and needs attention in 2 categories. I'm feeling overwhelmed. What is the best place to start to build good foundations? Now, I do have videos that are very specific to just the hormone quiz and go over in a lot more detail the hormone quiz. Now, number 1 is when you take the hormone quiz, make sure that you are evaluating the symptoms that you would go to your doctor and that you would report. I've had some women say to me, oh, well, I get headaches like a couple times a year, so I checked headaches. That wouldn't be a primary symptom that you want to seek on that would force you, to go to the doctor to get help or try to get on hormonal birth control for. So that's the first thing. Evaluate the symptoms that you would write when your doctor's like, what's your main concern? Write those down. Those are your main symptoms. And the other thing is that it's not uncommon to see adrenal high and low, see estrogen high and low, and I talk about that more extensively in another video. But the thing is that if you take the quiz and you don't know what to do, jump into the For Everyone section. Start with For Everybody. Go through the 30-day protocol, come back, reevaluate the quiz. And this is where women get really clear after they go through the Brighten protocol on exactly where they really need their attention. So there's a woman this weekend who wrote me and said that when she took the hormone quiz, she thought everything was going to be estrogen related and she was going to have estrogen problems. And she just felt confused the first time she went through it because she had never attempted to balance her hormones naturally. We don't get a lot of information about our hormones and about our hormonal health. And so it's not uncommon to feel a little bit overwhelmed at first. Most doctors feel overwhelmed trying to navigate women's hormones because unless that's what you do and that's your jam, it is complicated. But what this woman said to me is, she then went through the 30-day protocol. She went back and it was so clear it was her adrenal glands. And that's where she had to focus. And so that's where she started focusing. And she said 2 weeks later, she was like, I started to notice like my period wasn't even an issue. So this was a total of like 6 weeks of working with what was going on in the book and refining the protocol over time, which many of you have actually said as we chat here today, is you keep going back to the book and refining your protocol. That's exactly how it's designed. This book is meant to be with you for life. And so I wrote and it's something where, when I wrote this book, I didn't want it to be a one and done where you just get the book and you're like, okay, great. Like, how many health books do you have? I know me, I've got a ton of health books. I go through them and get to the end and I'm like, okay, there's really no reason to go back to that. Because, I got the knowledge I needed. With Beyond the Pill, I wanted to be something that you can go back to over and over throughout your lifetime and keep getting answers to what might come up for you. Because what you experience in your 20s will be different from your 30s, your 40s, and so on. And so having that quiz and having these tools can help you to go back, to optimize, to refine, and to feel amazing in your body. So I see that you said you're going to go back and retake the quiz. Can normal results occur even if a person has Hashis? I've been gluten and dairy free. So I'm not sure what you mean by normal results. If you have Hashimoto's and it's well managed, then you might not have any hypothyroid symptoms remaining. I do talk about, and we'll be getting to the thyroid chapter. So as we move deeper into the book, chapter 7, we will talk about adrenal and thyroid health. And I will talk you through Hashimoto's as well. So I do cover Hashimoto's, thyroid disease, and adrenal health in my book. All right, so I gotta keep drinking here so I can keep talking. Okay, and let me go back and see. Tracy says, I told my doctor that I think a lot of my symptoms are due to hormones. He told me that if it's hormones, then there isn't really anything that can be done, and it just takes time. That's funny. Not funny, actually. I'm sorry to hear that, Tracy. There's a whole lot that can be done. And just because that one doctor doesn't know what to do with women's hormones, then doesn't mean you can't find a doctor who can. And I would definitely encourage you to check out Beyond the Pill because there's a whole lot you can advocate for and understand. Like, I've had women who said, it's something like, if you think it's your hormones and there's nothing that can be done, well, what about hypothyroidism? Like, that's a hormone condition. There's endocrinologists. That's like their specialty. So that just doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't just take time. Like, what health condition just takes time? You just give it time and it gets better. Colds, flus, things like that, things that your immune system is going to resolve. But with hormone imbalance, we have to figure out what the obstacle is to your body being able to heal and thrive and remove that obstacle. So does this apply to IUDs? Yes. So as we talked at the beginning of this video, the book isn't just about the pill. Now, it's called Beyond the Pill because there's 100 million women worldwide using the pill. The pill is the most common hormonal birth control. It's also been around the longest, so we've got the most research on it. But understand, the same synthetic hormones that go into the pill, they're going into other forms of hormonal birth control as well. And so it's really, really important to me. I think this is one thing. If you walk away with anything, understand this about hormonal birth control. For a very long time, we thought it was the estrogen. We thought the synthetic estrogen was the issue, and it is. However, research that came out in the last 3 years has now made it really, really clear that the progestins, those synthetic progesterone, that understand only you and Mama Nature makes progesterone. Labs, humans, chemists, that's me doing a pipette move there in case you're wondering. I used to do lab research and work with pipettes a lot. So that's who makes progestin. We now understand that progestin only contraceptives, for example, as we'll talk about in Take Back Your Mood, which is going to be chapter 8, Those progestin only, they are correlated with higher incidences of adverse mood reactions, depression, and also suicide. So understand that if you are on a Mirena IUD, a Skyla, Kylena, any of these progestin only IUDs, it doesn't put you in the clear. You need to read Beyond the Pill, and you need to understand how to take care of your body, what to test, and how to really just go through this book and make sure that you're staying safe on birth control. So I see page 7 says symptoms of the pill in vitamin, mineral, and antioxidant depletion. How does the pill deplete those? Once you get back to normal levels, will it keep depleting those after you quit? Okay, so hormonal birth control, what's really interesting is that a lot of medications will ramp up pathways and cause nutrient depletions. Hormonal birth control is one of those. Depletes selenium, zinc, magnesium, vitamin C, CoQ10, vitamin E, vitamin B6, folate, B12, a lot of stuff, right? In addition to depleting those, there's also a negative impact on your gut and your ability to absorb nutrients. And so that's the other thing, is that some people have, for example, gallbladder dysfunction while on hormonal birth control, and then they can't absorb fat soluble vitamins as well. Now, for as long as you're on hormonal birth control, you need to be using a multivitamin or prenatal for that. Now, you will see at drbrighten.com, I have a prenatal and a multivitamin. I think this is a great place to talk about this, because a common question I get is like, how do I choose one or the other? If you are currently having periods, then you likely need to have more iron, and that's going to support thyroid function as well. And a prenatal is more nutrients, because it's going to help in terms of supporting you growing a human, right? That's how it's designed. And so both of my supplements have methylated B vitamins. Those are active B vitamins. The prenatal I recommend for menstruating women. The multivitamin I recommend for women who are no longer menstruating or are not having any periods. So let's say you're on the like Mirena IUD and your periods have stopped, you're not bleeding, your iron need is not as high. Now, once you stop hormonal birth, be able to maintain. That is, if you don't get a chronic disease or something else happens, but it doesn't, being on the pill, that side effect won't persist when you stop hormonal birth control, the nutrient depletions. I hope that makes sense the way I explained that. So Amanda said, that was me. I took high dose progesterone from 13 to 30 nonstop, 3 weeks, never took placebo. I'm 44. I'm going to be honest. I'm very nervous. Yeah, no. So Amanda, I take you through the book of like how to prep your body before you come off of hormonal birth control. In Beyond the Pill, I wanted to dispel the fears, right? The fear that something bad will happen if we don't use birth control, the fear that something bad is going to happen while we're on it, the fear that something bad is going to happen when we stop it. Like, there's a lot of fear that really pushes us to make bad decisions, because fear-based decisions, those are never going to work out. Like, it just doesn't work out. Having information, knowing your body well, and making a decision based on the information you have, then you're going to stand a much better chance at making a good decision there. You started to have horrible melasma from the pill. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming chapter as well. It was bad after having my son too. I still deal with it 12 years after having my son. I've read that it's from high estrogen. So we don't totally understand melasma as well as we really need to. Yes, high estrogen. Also, depletion of folate looks like it plays a role, and we'll talk about that. Where does melasma come up? I think melasma, it's either chapter 8 or chapter 9. What's really funny is that when you go through and you write a book, you do it in a Word doc, so 8 by 11. And then you get the actual book and you're like, where is that at in there? Because I've been doing a Control F this entire time as I edit this book. And melasma is this little box. There's this little box that happens where I briefly discuss melasma. It's not a key component of the chapter. So when it comes to supplements, do I get off them after my symptoms are resolved? Okay, so when we get into the supplement protocol of Beyond the Pill, I talk you through that. So something like my Balance Women's Hormone Support Supplement, I stay on that continuously. I travel a lot. I get hit with stress. I have a chronically ill child. I travel a lot. I get disrupted sleep. When I travel, I might not poop. Like, there's other things that go on that I know I feel better when I'm taking my balance. And I also take my prenatal because my hair and my skin and my nails are awesome while I'm on that. And I feel super awesome. Page 205 is where I talk about melasma and Beyond the Pill. Thank you so much, Proclaimer of Good News. Great handle, by the way. So generally speaking, when it comes to supplements support your body and support the diet and lifestyle changes you're making. I call them the rocket fuel to healing. And with that, so with supplements, we generally wait in my clinic. So once your symptoms resolve, we give it a couple of months before we come off. So you know how like you're given an antibiotic, and supplements are not drugs, just so we're clear. They're not the same as pharmaceuticals, but when you're given an antibiotic and then you're told like, you're going to continue it. Even if your symptoms resolve, you're going to continue it because while you feel better, there's still work to be done in the body. And the same is true with using supplements to support your healing journey as you make those diet and lifestyle changes, because this is supporting your body's natural function. And so we want to wait. We want to give it a few menstrual cycles. So usually 2 to 3 menstrual cycles before we start coming off. And then typically we don't stop just everything. Like we'll stop some things and come off of others over time. You'll know how to do this by documenting and charting things that you're trying and Beyond the Pill. And then as you come off, continue to track your data, and then you'll be able to understand. So I know for me, I take a prenatal, plus I take my adrenal supplements, so adrenal support and adrenal calm. And I know for me that if I'm traveling, going, and I don't have those adrenal supplements, I'm probably going to feel tired. Like it's going to be a few months later, I start feeling a little more tired. And that's a sign of like, yes, you need to change your lifestyle, but as my moms know, sometimes that's not always an option with the small human in your house. But, I just start to clue in and pay attention to things. And so that's what I would encourage you to do as well. So page 205 for melasma. Thank you for that. For those of you who are jumping on, I see a bunch of new people jumping on. We are going through chapter 1 of Beyond the Pill. This is our virtual book club. Thanks for hanging out and being here with me. Tomorrow we'll be going through chapter 2. If you don't have Beyond the Pill yet, you can go to Amazon. It's 35% off. You can grab it there. It'll be there in a couple of days. If you have Amazon Prime, you can get that 2-day shipping. You can also get this at drbrighten.com. And if you're like, I want to be ready for chapter 2 tomorrow, grab the Kindle version or the audio version. Now, if you've grabbed Beyond the Pill, please tell me you went to beyondthepillbook.com so that you could get your free bonuses there. Those are a bunch of goodies that are aimed at supporting you. And for my YouTube people, I will put that URL in there for you, so where you can find that. And that way you guys can get the extra bonuses and goodies that come with that. So, on YouTube, I'm new to YouTube Lives, and there's some feature where I can put somebody on timeout. I just saw that come up, and I'm like, whoa, I don't want to be anyone's mom on the internet. I got one small human. That's enough. So what about facial acne and hair growth that gets worse a few days before my period? Can progesterone help that? And that may or may not be a progesterone issue. It can also be because of testosterone and estrogen as well. So Blue Water Wellness, I would encourage you to take the quiz that is in chapter 1 of Beyond the Pill and check that out for sure, so that we can make sure that you're dialed in on your hormone imbalance. Pamela, you're saying it's an amazing book. That is awesome. Risa says, I got all the bonuses. Can't say thank you enough for all the info. Great. Yeah, the bonuses that I put together for Beyond the Pill, that was really, if you guys don't know, I abruptly found myself living in Paris, France, because my son got sick on vacation there. We were grounded. We couldn't fly. We couldn't get on a plane. We couldn't go back home, which is crazy to have happen. And as I was stuck in Paris, which is not a bad place to be stuck, by the way, but as I was there, I was like, I can't do all the things. I can't travel and go do all the radio shows and do all the things that help promote a book and let people know that it's actually out there. And so it was one night for me, it was day for my team, that I was on a call, and you guys were supporting the book so much that I was like, I want to do something extra. And that's when my team and I came up with like, let's put together bonuses, some gratitude gifts that help enhance people who get the book. This will give you extra recipes. It will give you access to information that had to get cut out of the book. So I wanted to talk a lot more about Essure. So I actually did an interview with an Essure expert, which is another form of contraceptives. And with that, there's all these bonuses. So there's also a lab guide. And then we went a step further and negotiated with a lab for you to be able to get direct access and order your own labs in case that your doctor wouldn't order those. I also gave you a nutrient depletion guide to dial in right away. So the second you get these, you can download it anywhere in the world, any version that you buy. Audible, hardcover, ebook, whatever, and then you can get access to those bonuses right away. You signed up for all the extras but never got them. How do I find them? Check your spam, check your promotions folder. It may be that your email, this is another thing in my life I can't control, is that I can send you an email, but your email delivery service might not let you get it. If you did. And then always, what I'll say is also check that you put in the right email address, because if you have a typo, then we can't deliver it. But if you're like, no, I did everything right and I can't find it in my inbox, then email info@drbrighten.com and we'll get them sent over to you. The guides are great. You just downloaded them this weekend. That is so awesome. How long does it take for your hormones to balance? It really depends on what's going on. That's a fantastic question. So it really depends on what's going on. Like, for example, as I talk about in Beyond the Pill, if you have Hashimoto's and you have an autoimmune disease destroying your thyroid, you got it in the junk folder. There it is. You found it. Good. I'm glad you found it. Yeah, that's I don't know what's up with Gmail, but my friends will send me emails sometimes and then I find it, they're like, why didn't you answer my email? And I find it in a promotions folder or spam filter. And I'm like, it's Gmail. This is my friend. What are you doing? What is that about? So in terms of healing hormones, if you have Hashimoto's, an autoimmune thyroid condition that's attacking your thyroid, then you've got to resolve that. You've got to take care of your gut in order for your hormones to feel better. Now, when we talk about hormones and balancing them, the foundation of our hormonal health is really adrenal glands. And that goes together with blood sugar balance. Adrenals. On top of that is thyroid, and at the very tippy top, that's where your sex hormones are. And if you are trying to balance the tippy top over and over and over, but you're not taking care of the foundation continues to crumble, then it's going to take a really long time to optimize your hormones. And the same is true that as you go through the quiz, if your issue is really rooted in the adrenal glands, then you have to heal the adrenals first, and then you're going to see your sex hormones heal over time. Now, it depends on what's going on. If you've got polycystic ovarian syndrome, you've got to work on reversing the metabolic issues, which can be as quickly as 30 days. So you can reverse diabetes in 30 days. But then after that 30 days, you're going to need another menstrual cycle to really evaluate where you're at. So that might look like 2 months for you. But here's the really, really best way to evaluate, to basically gauge how long is it going to take to heal. For as long as you've had those symptoms, so let's say you've had the symptoms for 10 years, we can expect you need to do 10 months worth of work to really turn the whole ship around. Does that mean it's 10 months to feeling better? No way. If you're following the protocols and Beyond the Pill, you should start feeling better. Other things might get a little bit worse, but you should notice improvements. But we can expect that it's going to take time. And so I like to gauge it that way. And the other thing I'll say about it is that when we have hormone symptoms, the very first time that we have hormone symptoms and we actually notice them is not the time they developed. They developed months ago, years ago. And so understand that by the time your body's presenting symptoms, it's been a bit there. So I'm going to take a few more questions. Thank you all who are saying you love the idea of the virtual book club. I'll be on tomorrow. We'll be chatting again. I've got Instagram, Facebook posts that are going to go out just to support you guys. I want to make sure I'm supporting you. You've got Beyond the Pill. It's been out for a couple of months in the US. It's only been out, it hasn't even been out 30 days yet internationally, which is why I was pausing and I was like, let's give it some time so everybody can get it in their hands and we can move through this and I can make sure that you're getting more support. Now, I saw somebody saying, I wanted to try to find these questions here because I see someone saying, good question, genuinely asking for a friend. And there it is. Okay. I have the book, but it's inaudible. And so I can't look through the table of contents and such. Anything in there about taking Plan B, can it impact your hormones long term? For some people, taking Plan B can really throw their hormones out of balance. The same protocols that are in Beyond the Pill to help with hormonal birth control, the post-birth control syndrome, that's what I put my patients through. If they do Plan B, if they've got to go the route of Plan B, then we get them right into how do you feed your body? How do you detox your liver? How do we start optimizing your adrenal, your thyroid, and your sex hormones so you can feel amazing and not feel, because here's the deal. If you have to take Plan B, it's very hard on your body. It's very hard on your hormones. But if you have to take Plan B, it's also hard on you as a human, mentally and emotionally. And so we want to do as much as we can to support the physiology. So I see, Brew, you said Jess did the test. It actually matched the Dutch. Oh my God, that's awesome. So Brew is saying she did the quiz in Beyond the Pill, and it matched what her Dutch results told her as well. That's how good this quiz is. And you know how this quiz was developed? Through thousands of patients who I ran the Dutch on, and that we evaluated their symptoms and we saw the correlation there. And then I developed this whole quiz. And this quiz is something that my patients go through, people go through in the birth control hormone reset program and the hormone revolution detox online program. And then we took all of that and we put it into Beyond the Pill in a way where you wouldn't have to actually have a video with me to understand what's happening in your body. What can I do to lower testosterone for PCOS? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to, that in the Metabolic Mayhem chapter 8, we will get into that. We're also going to be talking, I need to be drinking my mushroom tea. We will also talk about 5-alpha reductase activity. The big takeaway though, because I don't want to leave you hanging, Brew, get into the diet protocol, start optimizing your insulin and your blood sugar regulation. That is one of the best things you can do to bring testosterone down, especially if it's coming from the adrenal glands. So, you notice that the thyroid supplement on my website doesn't have glandulars. Do you have any brands that you recommend for that? No. So thyroid glandulars, that's a prescription. If it is a supplement with thyroid glandulars, I don't recommend it because it's not held to the same, sorry guys, it's not held to the same level as a pharmaceutical. When we're talking about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy for the thyroid, it needs to be standardized so you know how much T4 and T3 you're getting. Otherwise, you can start taking a glandular for thyroid and your hair can fall out and it can get a lot worse, or you can have anxiety. And as I talked about living in Paris, when I had to use the French version of like basically levothyroxine and liothyronine, to match the same doses of natural desiccated thyroid hormone that I usually take, I had a splitting headache. My eyes were bulging out of my head. Like I had a lot of problems with that. And if I didn't know the exact dose of T3 that was in there, I could have never refined that. So is there any online support for someone who lives in the UK? Elma, we have a Facebook group that you can go to. If you go to Dr. Jolene Brighten on Facebook, there's actually a group that you can join for that. And then you are always welcome to join these lives and ask questions here. Can I talk? Whoa, so many questions coming in. Sorry. I was confused on Facebook by your comment. I'm not sure what you're talking about, and you don't have Facebook. That's totally cool. I don't even like, maybe I shouldn't say that I don't like being on Facebook because I'm on Instagram right now, but I much prefer, that's why I'm on YouTube and Facebook, or YouTube and Instagram right now. Should we take our quiz results to a standard doctor or naturopathic, which I prefer? Do you recommend a network of doctors or Brighten protocol specialists? We are working on training Brighten protocol practitioners. Right now, I would recommend going to a naturopathic physician or a functional medicine physician, making sure that if they're a functional medicine doctor, evaluate how they address things, because sometimes people call themselves functional medicine, but they very much practice what's called green allopathy. That is, instead of a pharmaceutical for every symptom, it's a supplement for every symptom. And I definitely am like, let's treat symptoms because that makes people feel better, but let's also get to the root cause so we're not just chasing symptoms our whole life. So Yeah. Okay, it wasn't me that confused you. Okay, I get that. Thank you for that. So, guys, I'm gonna time out on Instagram here. It's starting to do the countdown on me. I am going to be going live. So watch in about 4 minutes. I will be live on someone else's Instagram channel. And for everybody who's here, thank you so much for being here. For my people on YouTube, I will come back through, read the comments, see what you guys, what else I can help answer for you guys. Tomorrow, we will be going into chapter 2 of Beyond the Pill. Yes, Ashley, I talk about Graves' disease and Beyond the Pill. So we will be going into that. And then tomorrow is going to be the lowdown on your hormones. So this is definitely not to be missed by any woman, because I'm going to talk you through all of the major hormones that you need to be in the know about. There's a lot of hormones. We're going to go through the big ones that you can do something about and that really directly impact you. And so tomorrow is the lowdown on your hormones. If you haven't read chapter 2 yet, go read chapter 2, get your questions ready. If you're on Instagram, on my Instagram stories, I have a place for you to be asking questions. Go ahead, leave them in the comments, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Instagram, on my Facebook, I will check those. And then I will also be coming back on. We'll be live again tomorrow, talking through chapter 2 of Beyond the Pill. Thanks for being a part of this virtual book club. Share it with your friends. Remember, on Instagram, you've got 24 hours to watch this video, but look, I will be putting it on IGTV, and then I will be putting, and then YouTube, you guys have already got it. As soon as I end this, it will go up. And then I will announce with you guys soon when I will be going live tomorrow morning. I am traveling this week to Los Angeles for the Bulletproof Conference, so I will be there. And I've got a ton of interviews that I have to do, I get to do. Let's change that language. I get to do in LA. I'll be on a radio, several radio shows, podcasts, all kinds of stuff. So stay tuned. My Instagram stories are the best place to catch me, like on the go, where I lay it all down for you, where I'm at, where you can catch me. And then I will announce when I'm coming on live tomorrow. I just have to check my calendar. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you tomorrow.